And there was this really, I can't say bad experience, it was a great learning experience for me. So where I was trying to have, since it was our 10th grade, I know that I was never going to see most of my friends, girls and boys, ever again in that school setting anymore. So I said, okay, let's do a New Year party where all of us get together and, maybe cut a cake or do something for fun. And I was scrutinized pretty much. I was taken to principal's room that, this is something that was not anticipated or is not expected of any high school student, that to organize a party with girls and boys together. And there was this really embarrassing experience for me where our biology teacher has actually pretty much confronted me in front of my friends, where I remember him telling this story, and this lives with me forever, I think. So he said, apparently there is a survey that was done in Delhi around, I think this was in 2005, 2006 time. And a lot of high school students voted to have sex education in their high school, right? Which, in my view, even at that point, it made sense to me.
True.
But the way he ended that story was, no wonder if someone like Sudhir is in a high school in Nandiyama like this, who is doing stuff like this, like or trying to organize a party, no wonder I could see how Delhi students would have asked for that sex education. I could see this negativity in him where he thinks that's not the right thing. Kids are not supposed to learn that at that point of time. But I think through the years, we have seen that how important it is to learn that, right? Now, I think teachers are actually pushing for sex education, or, have what it means to be different genders and how to respect not just male and female, other genders too, right? How that's a huge topic now. And I personally feel experiences like that have kind of challenged me to learn more and be more respectful towards other genders. I may have done mistakes, I'm not saying that I didn't, but if you have seen somebody, from a rural India setting who is probably not responding appropriately for different genders, is probably because of that education we didn't have. I think that's one of the things that a major learning experiences for me. I could see that happening through a lot of my friends. But I wanted to share that story, how that one experience, I'm pretty sure a lot of students have experienced in early 2000s, if you were from, rural or suburban setting of India.
That's quite amazing, Sudhir. I mean, when you talk about these kind of stories, right, you go back, I mean, we are in 2024 now, but you go back just 15, 20 years, it was a completely different world. And talking about all these things was a taboo, was considered to be a taboo. I mean, as a kid, I mean, even in India, I mean, even in the city where I grew up, right? I mean, when you ask your parents certain questions, they're like, you're a kid, you should not ask those questions, right? I mean, we've heard that a lot from our parents, and even now I think we hear that. But what I mean is, kids need to question these kind of stuff. I mean, kids, we always say that, yeah, you cannot ask these things, you cannot do these things, you cannot see these things, you cannot say these things. I get that, but do we explain the rationale and morale behind it, or no? Or we just try to, I mean, if you go ask an Indian parent, I mean, in the early 2000s, that, they're teaching me reproductive system in the class. What is that?
Yeah.
They will be shocked.
Right.
They'll be like, they won't even speak. They won't tell anything to you. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but most of the society has been nurtured that way to be that way.
Right.
Not that it's their fault, but that's what they've seen. That's what they've seen growing up back in the 80s or 90s. So it's kind of weird transition, I would say.
Yeah.
Because right now we cannot relate to the Gen Z kids, right?
Yeah.
So the way, the amount of exposure they have as kids right now, we didn't even have 1% or 10% of what they are having right now, because everything is on the fingertips, right? I mean, I know my relatives, kids, and everyone that have cell phones and laptops at the age of 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I mean, at the age of my first mobile, I got it at the age of 17.
Yeah.
So just imagine that.
Wow.
Till 17, I didn't even have a phone. And I mean, Facebook came when we were in 10th grade, right? Right. So pretty much till 10th grade, all we had was, we had to wait until the next day to talk to them, or, you could call them at their landline phone, or you could text send a message in Yahoo Messenger, or Orkut, things like that.
Yeah.
But it was very limited. The internet was not as fast as what we have right now. We had to be patient. We were taught to be patient. There was no way to share information. on the go.
Right.
But right now everything is on the go. So it's kind of and also relate to that. I don't know, Sudhir, what do you think about the patience levels being dropped in the recent times? Because everything is available on the go, right?
Right.
If I want anything right now, all I do is just do one click and it's here.
Yeah.
I don't even need to put any effort to do that. But back then, we had to go out there, we had to search for it, we had to research for it. Even maps, Google Maps. There was no Google Maps when we were kids.
Right.
And we had to ask people for instructions or directions and where to go, how to go. So what do you think about that aspect?
I think it's very it's an interesting topic, right? Where you would think that okay, when you don't have something that's engaging you, right? And I think we had several days or months of time when we were kids where you don't have something that's engaging you, and you're trying to find a sport or friend or a book or a story or something. So TV was one of the things that was actually engaging to us. So there was no phone. So I think now it's like there are so many things that are ready to engage you, but still you kind of feel lonely, right? I think that's the transition or a full circle where you had everybody, where you had just going to a neighbor is not a it's very easy for you to do. But now I feel like that's something that as we grow older, it's not as easy to actually go knock on somebody's door to just hang.
Yeah.
Right. But back in the day, I think it was easy to make friends because there was nothing digitally engaging you. But now, since there are so many options to digitally engage you, it's hard to go and engage with somebody. That's I think one of my things that I'm actually recently starting to explore. Hopefully, we will touch on that in future episodes.
Sure. And another, you mentioned the engagement in using digital platforms, right? And I think that's a good way. Currently, that's helping a lot of kids, is because you see, I'm seeing kids from the age of 10 are becoming entrepreneurs now.
Yeah.
Right. Ryan Toys, for example.
Right.
We've seen that. The
Millions of
dollars. That's because the exposure they had as a kid made them who they are. Right. But for us, we didn't have any exposure that we can become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, business was like a negative thing pretty much. You're supposed to learn only technical skills.
Yeah. Because even in schools, nobody ever taught us to be an entrepreneur. I mean, they said, you get good marks, get a good job, study well, but nobody ever taught us to be an entrepreneur. Or I should say this, that we didn't have the resources that we could become an entrepreneur.
Right.
All we hear was the news or the newspapers. That's all the information we had.
Right.
There's no other way a kid can get any more information.
Yeah. I guess we are not saying that there should be business courses when you're kids, but I think there should be some exposure towards what does it mean to earn some money by putting yourself out there. I think just some basic skills. I know that somebody that I've known was selling newspapers or actually distributing newspapers, and they would get pocket money for that. And that itself will kind of teach you that these are the things that you have to do, and this is how you make money. This is how you'll probably spend money by yourself, and those are the things that were completely missing when we were kids, I think.
Yeah, that's 200% true. So I feel like the exposure we got as a kid, right? It doesn't relate to what it is right now. And the reason I'm saying that is when you want to relate to something that happened far away, as a kid, I won't be able to do that, because to me, my whole world is revolving around who's around me. It's not, my circle is pretty limited, because in the early till early 2000s, your circle is pretty limited, is because you don't have the exposure to the outside world.
You're right.
But all you trust and all you believe is what you've learned in that circle, and you start believing that that's your world. But once you get out of that world, your thought process will be like, shoot, what I learned doesn't even match what I'm seeing right now.
Right.
So that's when you got to improvise, you got to unlearn a lot of things. And how do you do that as a kid? Nobody ever taught us that.
Right.
You can relate to this. Our parents would have told us that, study till 10th grade, you'll be happy. Study till inter, you'll be happy. Do this, you'll be happy. But nobody ever prepared us as a kid for the actual reality of the world.
Right.
They show the kids that world is a fairy tale place. It's actually not that way. Once you step out of that fairy tale world, after you're 15 or 20, then you see the actual world out there. And I think a lot of kids are not prepared for that. And that is one of the reasons why I always thought they wander in their mind, and we end up making a lot of mistakes and try to correct those mistakes as a person. is because of that. Is because nobody ever taught them or us or how to actually be prepared for the reality of the world. What do you think?
I think I 100% agree. There were a couple of experiences, I think, with respect to how disconnected we were with the world. I think two major experiences that I've seen, I didn't realize the impact of those situations as much as I can now because of my education and because I'm here in the US. But the first one was, I think, the World Trade Center issue. I think in 2001 when that happened, it was in the newspapers. We've seen some videos in the news channels, but we didn't really realize the impact of it. There was a war that was being fought because of it. And what did really happen underneath, I'm able to learn a lot more now because I've spent a lot of time in the US now. I was able to realize the impact. But 9/11 attacks, I think that's one of the major things, which I don't think I've seen an impact because we were in India and we were just kids. The other thing was tsunami. I think tsunami was the other aspect which we didn't realize the impact of tsunami, maybe in a few cities in India, but not as much as it actually what it did to us. There were some movies made out of it, which I think have helped educate us a little bit better. But honestly, I don't think we have realized the impact a tsunami can have, the impact environmental changes can have on our everyday life. I think those are two instances that I feel are, particularly when we were in early 2000s and in a middle and high school level, those experiences significant in terms of world history, but we probably didn't realize its impact until we actually grew older.
That's true.
That's true. I've had some fun experiences when I was a kid where, there was not really a verbal communication where to express love or crush or anything, right? So you cannot really go and talk to a girl and express something, but there were some instances where just by looking at somebody, you can feel the spark. I think because we didn't have anything digital either, right? There was this really cool experience where you are anticipating to see somebody, like visually look at somebody and feel the excitement. And the anticipation that that person will look back at you is also really, really, exciting. And you actually go to school for that, or you actually go to tuitions.
You dress up well.
You dress up well. You do a lot of things just to, like a 5-second look that somebody would look at you. I feel like that's missing now. I feel like, we actually embrace somebody looking at you or somebody that, just trying to talk to you. It's probably taken for granted nowadays because you already have a partner or, you figured out how to live. But I think those were some cool experiences when we were kids that I can never forget. And I think that has happened only because I grew up in a rural and conservative setting. Although there was this taboo of where I cannot talk to the girl, but there was this anticipation that to look at the girl and the girl looks back at me. So that was kind of cool. In relation to that, I'm actually curious to ask you guys if you have any such experiences where if you're in rural suburban India, what sort of school experiences have you faced which were memorable, but at the same time you probably thought, okay, this should not have happened like that, or now you have education to realize that it should not have been that way. Please share with us, drop us comments or engage with us. We would love to learn more about your experiences as well.
So definitely we would love to hear your stories. Mention in the comments anything that you guys can think of your childhood. That it could have been better if it was that way, something like that. We would like to hear from you, and we can make a small video of it. Please do comment, guys, and we'll make a video about the comments too. We can have a live chat.
Ashish, one of the cool things I think that we have done when we were kids, because we didn't have it in digital mode, right? So writing scrapbooks for friends, I think was a very good way to stay in touch, even though you're actually not in touch with them for so many years. I actually regret not having my friends write my scrapbooks because I always thought I'm never going to lose them, which I think is a stupid mistake. But one of my friends recently shared their scrapbook, one that I wrote with me, and that kind of, I was very nostalgic to actually read that. I just wanted to read a couple of things which I thought were nice to share, and one of them was obviously your name, please, Sai Sudhir Reddy, your birthday, sites you love to surf. I'm pretty sure that actually meant the websites I like to surf, because I'm pretty sure this came from US or West. I actually wrote for playing cricket in JetPH, high school.
Oh.
So that was very funny. And it said, your favorite vacation spot. I said, any place with my friends. Your favorite pastime, something really funny I don't want to share. Your most cherished desire. I said, IIT engineer. I think how it was marketed at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
Your most embarrassing moment. I said, when I received a Nobel Prize. I think that's a mic drop right there. No, but I think scrapbooks were such a great experience when we were kids.
So again, when that reminds me that if you guys can share what your scrapbooks looked like, or what did you guys write? There's always that one thing that what you want to become, right? That's one thing I always loved.
Yeah,
asking my friends.
We challenge you to go back, open those scrapbooks, and let us know one funny experience that you have shared with your friends.
Please drop it in the comment box, and we would love to hear it from you. And also anything that relates to your childhood, anything in if you wanted to become something and you had some opportunities but you were taken, those opportunities were taken away from you, or anything that you'd love to share, and then we will make a live video or a live chat where we can talk about what the comments we got, what are the stories from our viewers, and that would really be amazing. That we want to engage with you guys, so that would be amazing. So today we spoke about a lot of things, right? I mean, from the beginning, how childhood shaped up our life, who we are, what morals we believe in, who we trust, or also the gender taboos that Sudhir was talking about. Also how mentally a kid can get impacted, and how it can limit my mindset on exploring different things, right? How to process certain emotions. Also, becoming an entrepreneur, how do you teach kids the right way to live life, the realistic way to live life, not a fairy tale world. And we've touched on a lot of aspects, guys, and we would love to hear from you. And if you want us to touch on some other aspects, please leave us a comment or DM us, and we would love to do that. If you want to be a part of the podcast, if you want to get involved and have a live conversation with us, and we would love to do that, please DM us if you want to be involved in the podcast. And leave us a comment or DM us. And thank you so much for listening to our episode today. And we want to bring more content. Looking forward to talking with you guys.
Yeah, please give us any constructive feedback you may have. And thank you so much for viewing this episode.
Thank you.